lots of new things to talk about, lots of information about the home market and buyers, sellers, interest rates, equity.
Anybody that's kind of paying attention to the news or what's going on around Albuquerque, I think most people understand that the housing market is very tight right now, to say the least. And there's, very few homes on the market. But there's a few headlines, Tracy, that jumped out this week that we wanted to talk about. And I think the big one that we're all chatting about is interest rates.
We absolutely are chatting about interest rates. And so one of the things, are we going to go right into it?
Yeah, no, go right to it.
So interest rates in 2022, we know that already interest rates have risen 1/4 to 1/2 point just in the last couple of weeks. And, we hear this information regularly that rates will probably be at 4% by the end of 2022. Well, that's such a narrow headline, right?
Right.
We know right now for some clients and buyers that interest rates are above 4%. When they say it should be up to 4%, that's for somebody with a high credit score, good debt to income, money down. They're picking a loan program that probably has a 20% down on it. It's for primary residence, not investment property. So it's sort of like if a client is coming to us and they're not a 740 credit or score or above, they're below that, or their debt to income is not in the ideal range, they're not going to even get 4 today.
And I think what brings us up, Tracy, is we talk about interest rates on the show all the time, and we talk about what when we're talking, obviously mortgage interest rates when we're talking about this, right, and we're talking about what the Fannie, Freddie, FHA, conventional loans, kind of the survey, if you're a good buyer with good credit scores, good job, and 20% down, and so
not
we
too much credit on your open line.
Yeah, and so we say, well, interest rates went from 3 to 3.5 to 3.75. Now we are seeing 4 even, because just Friday. It's Friday when we're recording this. Today, mortgage rates went up quite a bit, actually, right?
They did, and so this week's rating of where interest rates went to is 3.86 across the country. Mm-hmm. So when we look at that historically for the last year, I know that's a huge not historical, but 1 year back, we're 1% above where we were. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of home buyers, 1% makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference for some in what they can afford, what home price they can afford, what monthly payment they can afford. And so it has shifted. Historically, still great.
Well, and we've talked about this before in the inverse, is that 1% of mortgage interest equals about 10% in home price, when you equal it out between payment, right?
Right.
So now, to a certain extent, home prices not only cost more because prices have gone up, they cost more to finance now than a year ago, about 10% more on a payment standpoint or cost of the house standpoint. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about house prices and buyers thinking I shouldn't buy a house right now because prices went up.
Right.
So Tego,
when's the best time to buy, Tracy?
Well, obviously the best time is when you need a house.
Right.
Right. However, what we know from all the economists is that the house prices are suggested to continue to rise, and even the worst case is that they're still going to be going up, house prices, right?
So I don't know if
I bet you have a chart for that.
Purposely segued right into this, but so there's a group called Pulsenomics, and they survey about 100 of the economists across the country, mostly the ones that specialize in housing and real estate. But there are other specialists too. I mean, a lot of the economists look at all kinds of stuff, including housing. And these are, the experts, right? And what they do is they look at this year, next year. I think they go out till 2025. And what you're going to find is that really most Well, if you look at the most negative, here it is. I've got it
So
in
it's
front
interesting.
of me.
These panelists
Yeah.
are divided by optimists, pessimists, and kind of middle of the road.
Right. So if you take just like the middle of the road for 2022, they're saying 6% price appreciation. This is nationwide. The most pessimistic, if you just kind of lumped all the pessimists together, it's 3.5% price appreciation, and the most optimistic are 8.5%.
Right. And in some markets we know will be low, some markets will be higher.
Right.
We feel like New Mexico is poised to be on the positive side of price growth for homes, which if interest rates continue to go up this year and prices continue to go up, still a great time to be a home buyer, to lock in your home price earlier this year than later this year, when home prices are expected to be higher and interest rates are expected to be even higher.
Well, and I heard somebody say this talking about housing, and they said, buying a good home in a good area, good location, the whole location thing, right? In the long run, you're always going to do well. Even people that bought in 2005, right, at the very peak of the bubble, and that was a real bubble. That was a credit bubble. That was an issue with bad lending standards, which we just haven't had in the last 10 years.
So we were at a in-person event yesterday sponsored by Fidelity Title. Thank you for that. It was awesome. Pretty much a whole day, and it was a snow day, and it was a great day to be indoors. But they had a Wells Fargo economist that they had flown in for the event. Mark, I can't think of his last name, but nobody here.
Ventner.
Yeah. So he was a wealth of knowledge, very interesting, right up Tego's alley, whole stats. And
he got pretty wonky. It was good stuff. He talked a lot about inflation. He's very concerned about inflation, which I know a lot of people are. And it's interesting. And he said the same thing that, I hear all the time, which is real estate is one of the best hedges there is against inflation, because it's a real asset that generally goes up at least as fast as inflation, but usually more than inflation from an appreciation standpoint. So go ahead.
One of the things we get asked a lot, Tego, is what's going on? Why are there so few homes on the market? And, we've answered that on this show many times. And for all of you that are loyal listeners, you probably could answer this. But I thought it was a good time because he also addressed it yesterday, Mark from Wells Fargo. And it was interesting because some of the things we've talked about, and there were a few things that perhaps we hadn't really vocalized quite as well as he did yesterday. One of them was, which we've talked about, is the whole pandemic and people that maybe would have downsized previously because they have empty nests, they have too big of a house now. They would downsize. Well, during the pandemic, people, instead of going to the gym, they changed one of their former children's bedrooms into a gym, home gym, right? Yep. Another one maybe into a home office, even if they weren't actively working. Some of those folks are retired, but they still do a lot of home things, and they needed a little bit of separation perhaps because two people rattling around in a house needed different places to go sometimes to not always be in each other's space. So.
Right.
Very interesting, some of the things that lead to it. But, we've said for the last 2 years how home builders are way behind on building, that for 10 years they weren't building like they were previous to the original housing drop in 2008, and they got way behind, and we need all those units. And they're going, where are all the people living that we can't find homes for right now? Well, some are in properties that they've been in, but they really want to get into a different property. But he basically said a lot of people are living with family and friends just trying to find a home. So we know that supply is very limited.
Yeah, it's interesting because, okay, I'm going to say something that, you shouldn't say that you're in this business, but I'm going to say it anyway. This whole idea now that we're going to be at 4%, maybe, more than 4% mortgage interest rates, right? Which is high, right? Which is, us older folks, we're going, yeah, that's funny. 4% is high mortgage rates. That may slow down the housing market a little bit. There's absolutely no doubt that some home buyers will just not be able to qualify. Okay. That we know for sure. The question is how many, and the people that have the choice to buy or not to buy, they can qualify just fine at 4% or 4.5% or whatever it is, make the payment and be fine. Are they going to opt out of not buying? So there's a real conversation going in the housing economics world is like, okay, if these interest rates slow down the market, is it going to slow it down enough to slow down this just really unprecedented price appreciation, right? We're not talking about home prices going backwards. We're just talking about not going up at double-digit percentage per year, which is not healthy, right? And that's really what I was getting at is, or what I was going to say is, we kind of do need the market to slow down a little bit.
Right. So we in New Mexico, and this was also a part of yesterday. So let's talk about it. Right now in New Mexico, we are still one of the most affordable places in the Sun Belt in the Southwest for people to be home buyers.
Yep.
So right now they're saying, Tego, I mean, the headline right now on this segment is, right now could be a once in a lifetime opportunity for sellers.
Yeah, so that was our next story, or not really story, but just kind of a topic is right now a once in a lifetime opportunity to sell your home. I'm just said what you just said. I know.
It's okay.
I know. I'm just reading the same headline you did. And so there's a couple different dynamics there. So let's talk about, some of these bullet points as why this might be the best time to buy. But then I also want to bring in this story about all-time high owner equity and owner profits that are selling. So first off, why is it a great time to be a home seller right now, Tracy?
So number one, demand is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of buyers looking for existing home sales report would say that the 15-year, need for homes right now, we're at the peak. We've got all the millennials that are in that home buying era.
Can I actually just add to that a little bit is if you look at the millennial generation, the biggest peak of them are going to be turning 32 in the next few years, right? This is the biggest cohort of people, and that's
largest population.
Yeah, and so there's still a bunch of people in that age group that do not own a home yet and are just coming into home buying. So the demand is out there.
So the bullet point on that is the demand is expected to strengthen, not weaken, for home buyers because there are so many people in those home buying years.
Yeah.
That they say on average by 37 is when most people have bought their first home, right?
Yeah.
And we know that there's a huge cohort that's reaching that, right? Our nieces had birthdays this week, right? They're in that group.
Yep.
They've both been home buyers for a while, though. So next.
Yeah, the next thing is supply, Tracy. And I just want to put some perspective on this. We all talk about, supply of homes, right? And I know that's kind of inside lingo. It's like inventory supply. Basically, it's a number of homes that are available to purchase on the market. Right now in Albuquerque, as we sit today, Friday, February 4th, we're at like 660 homes actively for sale in the metro Albuquerque area, the Albuquerque MSA, which is unprecedented in the in supply or number of homes on the market. We measure month supply of inventory as a ratio of supply versus demand, basically homes going off the market that are being purchased versus the number of homes on the market. Generally, a balanced market is considered around that 5-month supply, 6-month supply. Today, right now, at the end of January, we're sitting at half a month supply of homes in the greater Albuquerque area. So, we are at, again, I'm going to say it one more time, unprecedented tight supply on homes. And that doesn't appear to be changing. And again, we're talking about this in the context of being a home seller right now, right, Tracy?
Right. So supply is very limited. Next up, sellers have maximum leverage, as in, is it a once in a lifetime opportunity for sellers? A lot of the sellers that are deciding to put their home on the market, they're really in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
They're getting competitive price offers on their property. They're getting flexible closing dates. They're getting potential for lease back once they sell their home. They're getting offers with very minimal contingencies with regards to perhaps financing or appraisals or repairs. So from that perspective, boy, if you've ever had a hard to sell property because of location, condition, or something, how it shows, now is the time to be selling that property because you're going to get the most for it at this point that we've seen in our careers for 20 years, right, Tego?
For sure. No doubt about it. And so the big catch-22 on all of this as a home seller is, okay, well, I want to sell my home, but where I'm going to go, right? I can't find another home. I can't find a move-up home, or maybe you're going to another area. The thing is, this is not a localized Albuquerque phenomenon. This is all over the country. Shortage of homes for sale is everywhere. And so what's your replacement home? That's the big question, right? If you do sell.
It is, but this is just a small piece of that, Tego, is we're seeing a lot of houses still come on the market. They're just selling fast. So our 660 homes that you mentioned, probably 660 came on the market in the last week or two, and they are already off the market because they're selling quickly.
I've got a stat for that,
I bet you hadn't looked it up ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, no, I did.
Okay, so
median days on market in January was 6 days, so, meaning 50% of the homes in the Albuquerque area sold within 6 days.
Right. But there are homes coming on the market that people who want to sell their home can get themselves moved into, right? So we are able to find homes for most people. It's just there's a lot of competition for them. You probably have to look at more than one house or fall in love with more than one, and know that there are homes coming on the market. The 660 homes we're talking about today are not the 660 that were on the market last Friday.
I'm glad you said that, because I know it sounds like, I'm sure people, if you're out there listening, you're going, well, why would I want to sell? Why would I want to buy it? Sounds crazy out there. Well, the thing is, homes are getting bought and sold, every day, every month, every week, and it's going to continue that way. It's just at a little bit higher pace than what we've seen historically. So
right, competitive.
So I do want to talk about this equity story.
No, I want to talk about something else first. We're just so heavy into stats and stories.
No. But this ties into this whole idea. Should you be a seller right now? Right.
Right.
I think the point is, okay, yes, maybe you don't want to buy that new home and have a more expensive home and have a higher mortgage payment. However, you should probably take a look at what kind of home equity you have, because you probably have a ton of home equity, and you may not even realize it, that you can use for that next home, for that move up home.
Right. So statistics came out this week in the past year,
yes,
which is crazy to say. Most homeowners have increased their equity in their property by $94,000.
Wow.
So that's a factor of the mortgage you're paying,
yep,
right? How much you're paying and paying down what you owe on the property, plus what your home has appreciated in value. So a lot of folks are taking out, they're cashing out on that equity and using that money. So what they're saying is, as long as you keep 40 or 20% equity in your home, you can take out the equity to do other things. We've seen a few people buy a house with the equity from their existing home where they've cashed out and left it with 20% equity so that they can do that, but use that cash to buy the next home so that they're in a better position to do a good offer on the house that they really want.
And the number that really jumped out at me on that whole tappable equity, 9.9 trillion with a T as in Tom, 9.9 trillion in tappable equity nationwide. So that's basically the difference between what people owe on their home and what they're worth.
Right.
And that's a lot of money in consumers' pocket, basically, that's available if they want to use it.
So home equity, that number I said earlier, home equity grew by 42% in the United States last year.
Wow.
That's big. And I mean, for the people who are renting, do whatever you can to be a home buyer, right? We know that it's the best investment out there, and it's the least volatile, right?
And oh gosh, I can't think of his name, from Santa Fe, that is with the Urban Institute and does a lot of housing
Max or
policy stuff. But
Damian?
no, at home.
Oh, HomeSmart.
At HomeSmart. Anyway,
Not smart.
He talks about this a lot, and it's that home ownership is affordable housing compared to renting. When you look at the stats, in the data on that, it's absolutely, ownership is way more affordable, definitely in the long run, especially generationally, than it being a renter.
So think about all the renters who missed out on all that appreciation and growth on their net worth this past year or two in what home prices have gone up. So let's talk two things that are completely off your agenda, Tego.
Okay.
So it's Olympics.
Yeah. I've heard about that.
Olympics have started, and we have Super Bowl next weekend. So a lot of people are going to be home in their homes, hanging out, maybe having friends over. It's one of those things where we talk about the whole pandemic and how people have been living and changing things and being in their homes more. So it's interesting to me that, people are still rethinking whether they're in the right property, right? So if you are thinking of selling, give us a ring. We can do a market analysis, find out what your home might sell for in today's market, what the opportunities are for you.
Speaking of tappable equity, like maybe find out how much equity you have.
Right.
Yeah.
So just call us 505-448-8888. We've got about 5 different great realtors on our team that work with home sellers, and there's no obligation, of course. If you just are curious, just call us and we'll plan some time. But the thing about Super Bowl I want to mention is we're doing a free giveaway. So we've got a Super Bowl squares set up. I know it's like that grid, where
of course
we pull numbers at the end. If you want a free opportunity to get your name on our Super Bowl square, just call us and tell us, hey, I want to enter into your free Super Bowl thing. The number again, 505-448-8888. And we will have 100 squares that we will be drawing names out of all the entries. We already have quite a few because a lot of us have been posting on social media about it. But just give us a ring and say you want to be entered in our Super Bowl giveaway. We're going to be giving away $75 a quarter to whoever wins based on how the numbers are drawn. And then everybody who enters after the Super Bowl will draw from everybody for a $200 worth of gift cards. So
cool.
Yeah, don't miss out on a free Super Bowl event, because once we draw the numbers, we'll post and let everybody see what numbers they have so you can be rooting for it. Yeah. And Sam from our team will be live during the Super Bowl giving updates on it. So
cool.
On Facebook Live.
It's really, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. So just call in Venturi Realty Group of Keller Williams Realty at 448-8888. Tracy, we got a few minutes left. Did you have anything specific? I've got some January things that jumped out at me I wanted to share.
We have a couple of homes coming soon, so if you're looking for something special.
Homes? Wait, you got homes for sale?
Different parts of town. We have one under $200,000 in Bernalillo coming. We have one in the Southwest coming. We have a couple acre horse property in Edgewood that's just over $400,000, $431,000, I think. Nice. Coming. Beautiful property. Northeast Heights we have. So if you're looking for something special, give us a ring. We can have one of our home buying specialists connect with you to make sure you get all the information you need and get you taken care of. A couple open houses coming. So
just reach out to us. Give us a call, 448-8888. We'll get you on the list and let you know when we have things coming. So Tracy, okay, real estate market data. I just got to go over a couple things because a few things jumped out at me. So just taking a first look at the January sales data, inventory, prices, all that good stuff for the market area. And one thing that I noticed is that actually home prices for January this year versus January of 2021 are down slightly. And I said that totally wrong. I'm sorry. From December to January, home prices came back. I'm sorry, not from a year ago. From a year ago, average price per square foot is up almost 17% from January last year. From December
to
to January, home prices
pulled back just a hair.
Came back just a little bit. And, if you see it in the
Tego,
headlines.
Is that pretty typical for this time of year?
Exactly what I was going to say, Tracy. It's very common, very normal. This time of year, we see this kind of peak sometime, late in the year, and then a little bit of a pullback January, February, and then usually it's, off to the races. So we'll see how it goes coming here. So home prices, and like I said earlier, home prices stabilizing is not a bad thing, really. We don't, this whole idea that home prices went up 17% in a year, you can't do that year over year over year. It's just not healthy, right? We can't keep up that pace. So the thing that I saw that I didn't like is the number of new homes coming on the market in January this year versus January of last year is down 18%. So I would have sure liked to seen more homes coming onto the market, just because we are so behind, and we're not going to go through all the reasons why again, but that it would be nice to see more homes coming on the market. We know there's a lot of buyers out there waiting for homes to come on, and I'm optimistic that we'll see some people really gearing up and getting their homes on the market here in the next month or so.
And if you are moving to another area and you're going to be selling your house, we're happy to help you find a great realtor where you're moving to. We have connections all over, even internationally. I know most of you probably that are leaving here aren't going international, but we do know agents that are great in all parts of the country. So we'd be happy to help you make sure you get a great one where you're going that's going to work hard for you.